Apologies from Councillor McTavish and no others. I'll move that. Seconded, Councillor Hawkins. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Confirmation of the agenda. It's short enough not to have to change anything. I'll move confirmation of agenda. Seconded, Councillor Lord. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Declaration of interest is noting that. I'm assured that I don't have a conflict of interest on item 4.
So sure. Buttering.
Naming of new road off Middleton Road. And Sandy. Welcome. Bruce, would you like to talk to your report or Sandy? Any questions of staff? Councillor Thompson?
Is it in fact the case that a short street has to have a short name, and if so, why?
It is preferred for mapping purposes.
I see. I could almost live with that, isn't it?
Yeah, it quite simply makes mapping a whole lot easier. A short road name maps easier on a short road.
Thank you. No other questions?
I just question, Bruce, what's wrong with Kate's Way?
Our policy around road naming, let me find the appropriate part. Road names are to reflect at least one of the following in reference to the area in which they're located, a common or established theme, a historical person or event, etc., etc. In this case, it would come under historical person or event. The intent with that is to actually identify that person or event. So, surname by preference, full name if a full name is required to identify that person. First names, no.
Councillor Calvert?
Just sort of for my education, is a close and a place, and do we expect different things from something called a place or a way or a close, or is this something you would usually call a place as opposed to a close or a way or something else?
They're interchangeable, if you like. There are a number of qualifiers that would fit with a road like that, and any of those will do.
Councillor Staines?
I'm happy to move that we accept the name Q Place. Now, that is nothing against the use of the word Kate, but I've spoken before about our policy and the fact that we have a policy and we should use that policy or rewrite the policy. We haven't rewritten the policy, so I would like to move that we accept the name Q Place.
Let's check that there weren't any other questions. I don't think anyone else. Oh, you've got more questions?
Yeah, just
Okay, well, I'll hold that. Thank you, Councillor Staines.
thanks. Just quickly, Bruce, you and or your team, could you give a rough estimate of how much time has gone into this report?
Hours.
A lot has gone into this one, and just for councillors' information, we are in the middle of reviewing and rewriting the policy and guidelines, and so that will come back to either the next or the following round of ISCOM for your consideration to hopefully streamline the process.
And that answers my second question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moon.
Two questions. The first one following up on Councillor Hawkins' question. Will the review take longer than the writing of this report? And follow up, just remind me who are the two councillors that moved and seconded that motion? No, don't answer that. You may not want to answer this one either, Bruce, but clearly the developer or the applicant has indicated that there were some positive vibes given to him around about sometime last year when this was first mooted. Is that, I'm not suggesting it's not correct, but that's the reason why he wants to stand his ground, and I have a degree of sympathy for that position. So, have you got any comment?
It's a situation where I think people were unaware of what the policy and guidelines we had in place for road naming were when they were giving that initial advice. And so part of the review will make sure that it's clear and more simplified and potentially sits in a different area of the business.
So a question for Sandy. Is that something we need to be mindful when we make this decision? About the inconsistent, perhaps, vibes about what the policy...
We have done what we can behind the scenes following this to ensure that the right people are made aware of discussions like this when they're going on in the future.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Sorry, Councillor Lord, I had you down, apologies.
Thank you, yep. Look, my question's probably more for Sandy than for Bruce, but we're talking about rewriting the policy. You know, I can think of, well, George Street, I don't know where George Street came from, but I do think, you know, there's Bruce Road, there's a whole lot of roads you wouldn't know if they're first name or a last name, and they actually bear no, I mean, you could have Shepherd Road and it would still say no reference to Kate Shepherd. So my question is, when the policy, and I've struggled with the policy, I think we've seen some really good names that we could have had, developers wanted them. I can't see a reason why we shouldn't. Is the proposed policy, will that, if we had that proposed policy now, would that make Kate's Way an acceptable name?
I don't know yet. We're not at that point. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Councillor Bezet?
When you were looking at Kate's Way, were you looking at it in the context of Kate Shepherd or just Kate?
I'm sorry, I missed the start of your question.
When you're looking at the choice of names, were you looking at it in the context of just Kate or Kate Shepherd?
The developer advised that the link to the policy by way of that historical personage was Kate Shepherd, so we did look at it initially in that context.
I was looking in that context, but in the question time when Mr. Cummings was questioned in particular about where the name Kate came from, he said that the Kate Shepherd element of it wasn't significant. It was just that he liked the sound of Kate's Way. So, with the point I'm making is really taken the choice away from us, because it's either Kate's Way with no significance or Kew Place. And I think, do you agree that I'm right in that sort of context?
Well, the choice is yours,
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay, I've got a motion. Are you seconding that, Councillor Hawkins? That's yes. So I think, moved and seconded. Do you want to speak any further to that, Councillor Staines? Any further discussion, Councillor Noon?
I won't be supporting it. I think that we've had this discussion before, and I respect Councillor Staines' point about following the policy, but the policy is an ass. Sorry, and that's why we are reviewing it, and I respect Councillor Hawkins for asking for that to be done, but at the end of the day, what we've got is a policy that is not easy to interpret, and I think the staff have no disrespect, but the staff have sent perhaps mixed messages, and that's not the fault probably of the staff, and it shouldn't be, the outcome shouldn't be the result of a developer not receiving a fair go through this process. So the reason why I can't support Councillor Staines' motion is that mixed messages were sent early on in the process. So I think in this case, we should give the developer his first choice, and also noting that we are slightly in limbo because we are moving towards a new policy, and let's hope that that policy will be a lot clearer and will reduce the amount of discussion that we will have in the future on these issues around this table.
Councillor Noon, can I take it that you are foreshadowing a alternative motion should this one fail?
you may be able to guess which one it is.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Any further debate? Mayor?
I welcome the review of the bylaw, but I don't think it's as important to have another policy as to let staff use it. I would once again express my frustration about a matter, frankly trivial, having to come to a standing committee meeting. So if any policy that we come up with is worth its salt, then that'll be the policy, and the staff will either follow it or not. Well, they'll follow it, and the naming will either be acceptable or it won't be. In this case, I will support this motion. I'm not altogether in disagreement with Councillor Noon that the policy is a bit of an ass, but it's also the way we choose to use it that is frustrating. And the reason that I will support this is that I think while I respect the developer's preference, the fact is that Kate's Place doesn't identify in any way the person after whom the place is ostensibly named, i.e. there's no surname, so it has no significance. So I feel we should stick to the policy that we have at the moment for that reason.
Councillor Bazette?
Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to explain my question before. I don't think we've got anywhere to go on this. I was quite prepared to, after listening to the questions earlier on, to support Kate Shepherd's way or place, because I think it did have some significance. But when you shorten it to just Kate's Way, then to me it means nothing. And I think the developer in the question time did agree with that. It was just Kate's Way, like the sound of it. So I'll go back to the policy and support the resolution. But I do welcome the suggestion, well, it's not a suggestion, that the fact that we're going to review it, because it happens every time it comes up. We have this silly debate.
Thank you.
I'll be supporting the resolution.
Thank you. Any other? Councillor Lord?
Look, I'm not going to support this. I won't go as far as to say the policy is an ass, and I think staff do a good job, but I just sit here and I just think, what does Q Place mean? What does Kate's Way mean? I'm happy with either, and I just think, the developer wants to develop. We want to encourage people to come to our city. We want to encourage them to do developments, and then we just tell them, but you can't call it this or you can't call it that. So I'd support a foreshadowed motion if this one fails.
Thank you. Any further speakers? I'll put the motion. All in favour? This is to name it Q Place. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against?
No.
Carried. Thank you. Thank you, staff. Number 5, Jean, are you coming through the accelerated delivery of Mosgiel East roadworks? No, Jean. Is this an instance where we're assisting the developer now? Okay. It's good to know that we can do it once today. Michael or Jean, do you want to speak to the report? Yes. Jean.
Good afternoon. Just by way of brief introduction for the Mosgiel East Roadworks. What we're recommending here is to some extent a relatively small procedural matter, in that the physical works that have been carried out at this area on the Mosgiel Roading Network has been undertaken by the developer sooner than was planned for in our 2014 and 15 annual plan some time ago when that was pulled together. So essentially all we are recommending is that as a result of the works being completed and payment being due, that the money is shifted from the 15-16 year to the 14-15 year in the current annual plan.
Any questions? Councillor Thompson?
Just one thing I'm just not clear about. The it's being funded out of development contributions raised, but from a cash flow perspective, are you saying that because the developer is bringing the work forward, there will also be development contributions paid earlier than planned, or have they already been paid some time ago?
It's a combination, my understanding that some development contributions are already paid, but through the cost of the works that's been undertaken, those costs will flow through into the development contribution calculations and will be recovered thereafter as well.
I only got about every second word because of conversations going on in my right ear. So you're saying that there would be some cash coming into this financial year that would otherwise have come into the next financial year?
Yes.
Right, thank you.
Just taking that point further, it's my understanding that in general terms, infrastructure and roading are underspent cash flow wise, and so cash flow in the whole sphere, this won't have an impact.
Yes, that's right. As we come towards the end of the financial year, there may not be an issue because of the situation with the overall budget.
Thank you. Councillor New?
Thanks, Madam Chair. The structure plan that was developed some years ago, does that have a clause in it to allow flexibility for this sort of thing to happen? But clearly you've come to, for budgetary reasons, for the committee's approval, but the structure plan must have flexibility in terms of being able to adjust depending on how the development progresses, whether how quick it progresses or how slow it progresses.
I can't comment on whether the structure plan per se has flexibility, but the timing of these things do change for a number of reasons.
Any other questions? Anyone want to move? You move. Thank you, Councillor Lord. Seconded. Any discussion? All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Notification for the Chair. Does anyone have any agenda items for consideration? I'm just going to take, again, Councillor Van Vis, your point about the LED lights, and do you want me to carry that through for an understanding what preferential type of light is?
Chair, I'd like to bring forward Blackhead Road for the next meeting.
So it may not be to the next meeting, it could be to the community board. That is the safety concerns on the Blackhead Road. Tunnel Beach.
Green Island Bush Road.
Do you want that to come to this meeting, or would you prefer that a statement of went to the community board, or both?
I'd like to see it come to this meeting, and then because the residents would like to make a public submission on it as well.
It depends what the report is, what I presume they want to submit. I'll work that through. It may come to here or may go to both, but I'll see the best methodology for that. Thank you. Any other matters for the notification to the Chair? Thank you. I call the meeting to the end. Thank you for your attendance.